Hello, Leeds United fans. A dour mood today, a dour weather forecast today as well, but I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you spent your time with your loved ones and got over the curse that is Leeds United. We forgot, didn't we? We forgot how bad it was to deal with a Leeds United loss, but boom, 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 we're back. We're back in action. Leeds are back. Conceding 3 goals in the space of 30 minutes. And I almost forgot what that was like from the Premier League days, but we're back. Leeds United obviously losing Southampton yesterday. A thorough battering. 3-1. And Leeds showed a little bit towards the end. And it'd have been nice to see that impetus at the start. It felt like Southampton dropped off a little bit. But before we get into the shenanigans of yesterday, everybody, there has just been a Patreon video uploaded. Big shout out to everybody on the Patreon account. Make sure you do go check that out if you want some bonus One Leeds content. Now let's get into it. Obviously, Leeds beaten well yesterday by a Southampton team who looked like they were up for the fight yesterday. It just showed to me that you can't come out in these games and just almost start it sluggishly, which I thought Leeds did. Interestingly, we weren't able to deal with their press as a unit. Now, I wanted to touch on Daniel Farke's comments as well because I think it was... I hope this isn't a bit of a trend with Farke because this is the first real big loss we've had. Obviously, Birmingham was one, but this was the first loss where we're thoroughly beaten all ends up. And he contradicted himself a little bit in the post-match comments. Him saying that the defensive shape and the defence was an issue, but he wouldn't have dropped Liam Cooper. Now, that's you're making an admission there, and then saying that Liam Cooper was almost okay. I don't really understand that because we all know he wasn't okay, hence why he was asked the question post-match. You've got a Premier League defender on the bench who can bypass a press and who is excellent on the ball and who we, let's not forget, have all compared to Ben White in terms of him being a Rolls Royce. Excellent in the air, as we saw against Millwall, and overall just the package that Leeds United need. It's almost like, hypothetically, if Luke Ayling had a good game, or Jamie Shackleton, let's say, had a good game against the team in the future near Christmas, but Jed Spence had proven a couple of days beforehand in a game that he was very, very good, but let's say something happened, maybe he picked up another injury, but he was fully fit for the game which was about to happen. And then Daniel Farke went with Jamie Shackleton. You don't do that. You pick your best team. Exactly the same with Dan James over Jayden Anthony. There's no way in any world he starts with Jayden Anthony, but for some reason Farke did this. Now, the whole point is, from a defensive perspective, Leeds were atrocious yesterday. I actually thought Strauch was the best of a bad bunch, but Cooper's inability to pass a press and deal with a press almost puts Pascal under immediate pressure, which Rodon doesn't do because he's got a lot of football IQ. But the big thing about Rodon is he's got the ability, as I've said 2 or 3 times before, to bypass a press and make the right decision, and he's a better distributor into the midfield than Liam Cooper is. Rodon can also use his left foot. Liam Cooper cannot use his right foot, which naturally narrows the angle every single time and puts pressure on an Ilan Meslier, who we both know we do not need pressure to be on Ilan Meslier of all people. So overall, I thought afterwards when he was talking about the defence being problematic, but then he would carry on with starting Liam Cooper. I'm paraphrasing there, but it was just a bit strange, and it was almost like, come on, Daniel, you've got this one wrong. Let's admit this. He had these problems at Norwich where he would never admit that he was wrong. In certain instances, he'd either blame the players or he'd blame the weather forecast or whatever it was. But he was wrong yesterday. He got it wrong. He's at fault for the players coming out flat, completely flat. And I understand that's a team thing, but in the changing room beforehand, why are Russell Martin's side coming out with a real vigour after losing 4 on the bounce, and Leeds, after not being beaten in 4, are coming out lethargic? This can happen in football, of course it can, but a large percentage of that yesterday, the substitutions being made, Dan James coming off in the 70th minute, no changes been made at half time. And the same things happening in the second half, the first 5 to 10 minutes of the second half. And obviously, no admission of that was a problem for me. But will this continue? Is the question posed? No, it won't. I don't think it will. I think Leeds will be fine against QPR. You're not going to play a Southampton every single week. And that's the big thing with the Championship. You're not going to play a side like that every single week. But what we will be coming up against is maybe a Norwich City away. A team of that calibre. Some of the upper echelon teams in this division, in and around those top 6 to top 8 positions, who can cause you problems if you are asleep and can cause you problems with a press, which they will do. So you've got to be on point. You can't be coming into games complacent. And I feel like Leeds started that game a little bit complacent. I thought the lineup was definitely complacent, but Leeds came into it, really 2-3 out of 10, whereas Southampton were up for it, really, really up for it. And that's the bare minimum as a football fan I ask. I ask for all the team to be up for it, and Southampton got it spot on. Win it 1-0 up inside 1 minute 45 is just not acceptable for a team who's gunning in Leeds United for a top 2 finish. But I don't think this will continue. I think you are going to get Leeds putting a big reaction in against QPR. I think obviously our next home game is going to be against Bristol City, which will be a little bit tougher. But I also expect Leeds United to put in a performance there. But these games, there will be tougher games in the Championship. We know that. We've seen, a surprising level of teams. Sunderland being another example. It's going to be a tough fixture for Leeds. So against these top Championship sides, we have to be up for it. And I think you saw Leeds yesterday not up for it. So that's one thing that I just want to put to a side, really. But in terms of selection, he needs to really pick his best team. This needs to be a thing going forward. I want to see Daniel Farke picking the best team. I want to see Leeds United as well, when we're going up against the team who is going to press Leeds as a unit. I want to see Leeds United be able to put the personnel in that is going to be able to deal with that and deal with that effectively. But QPR next up, I feel like this is going to be it's a good game for Leeds to react to, and I expect a fully fledged Leeds United side to put in a good result against this lot. Now, I've seen a few people on the comment section, because I do read a lot of your comments, almost hounding me out for predicting that Leeds would win the game. Now, what I would like to say, everyone, when it comes to predicting these things, is you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And this is the thing with YouTube. I'll get 50% of you saying that I'm a negative you-know-what, a pessimistic you-know-what, if I come out on here and say just my actual opinion, as in leading up to a game, if I don't think we're going to win, because I try to be as real with you guys as possible. I don't think we're suited to this. I don't think it's going to be a victory. And then when I'll predict, a positive outcome, and I'll discuss where Leeds can hurt the opposition, I'll then get a load of you when we lose, which is bizarre, going back onto that video and hammering me for actually predicting that we would win the game. Now, I stand by what I say in all of these videos, everybody. I don't put them out and just, lackadaisically put them out and not put any thought behind them. I try to do as much analysis on the opposition, and I try to look at the general spectrum of the Championship and the Premier League when we're in there, and try to decipher to where Leeds United could hurt them and where Leeds could be hurt. I try to be as objective as possible. I don't include bias whatsoever. I try not to include bias in my videos, and I give you guys an objective opinion. So I don't understand the mindset at all of people going back and looking at that. Southampton were at it was 4 losses on the bounce, and we'd had 2 of our top rivals in this division going to St Mary's and nullifying them completely and hurting them consistently. We didn't do that. That's not my fault. That's Farke's fault, and that's the Leeds United team's fault. Yeah, it's not my fault. That there was opportunity for Leeds United to win that game yesterday. A lot of opportunity. It's not my fault, and it's not other YouTubers' fault and podcasters' fault that Leeds United didn't turn around and do that effectively. That's their problem, not mine. It becomes my problem when I'm having to talk about it. But yeah, guys, it is. We definitely could have hurt Southampton. I will still be doing the exact same analysis of Southampton when they come to Ellen Road, if nothing's changed. But we've almost kept Russell Martin in the job there, because there was an opportunity for Leeds to really hurt them yesterday, and we didn't do that. We showed them too much respect and stood off them. I also don't understand where our press was. Where's this Leeds press, this consistent Leeds press? Because we'll see it against Watford. We saw it partially against Sheffield Wednesday. We saw a little bit of it against West Bromwich Albion. For the second half against Cardiff, I don't know if Leeds are committing to a press through Daniel Farke, and I'd like to see that a little bit more. Southampton, as an example, they've been picked apart the last 4, but they are committing to a press. They're committing to a press and getting battered on the counter-attack. So at least I can see that they've got a press. Leeds sort of half commit to it. In that first half, there was no press whatsoever. In the second half, the last 35 minutes, there was a press. So that's something I'm a bit confused about. With Marcelo Bielsa, when we're in this division, it was a press. Teams knew what they were getting. Leeds were going to press them high. And if they could get beyond that press, that's where they could hurt Leeds. But they weren't able to do that because they didn't have the calibre and the quality and the persistence and the fitness to do that against the Bielsa side. This Farke side, I'm seeing fitness, I'm seeing quality, but I'm not seeing a press. or I'm sort of seeing it in sort of periods, but they're not seeing it, and I think that's very confusing for me as a fan to really understand if they've understood Farke's methods so far, or if it's going to take time. But yeah, I think yesterday you commit to a press against the Southampton side, and it's a gunfight. You know, it's an absolute gunfight, because I don't think they'd be able to deal with it. Probably the most press-resistant player would be a Kyle Walker-Peters, who is Premier League level, but you shove Rodon in there, and you shove, in my opinion, Jaden Anthony in there, and those players can deal with the press from the fullback or the striker, and they deal with that really, really well. So yeah, a few things to look on, but do I think this is going to affect Leeds United long-term? Guys, I don't. I think we're going to beat QPR. Shoot me for that. Hound me out for that. But yeah, I think we're going to beat QPR and just try. And I know a lot of you, it's only a select few, but please go back and watch the video that I made if you want to. I believe that Leeds United could destroy Southampton, and I still believe that now, and I still will be saying that in the home game. I think we can destroy any team in this division on our day if we get it right, and if the team's up for it. If they're not up for it, and we don't tactically prepare for it in the right way, we're not going to win the game. It's simple as. But Leeds United have everything in their arsenal/artillery to destroy teams in this division. It's not my fault, and it's not other people's fault if they're not up for it on the day. It's not your fault either. Guys, let me know exactly what you think in the comment section below. How are you feeling today on Leeds United? Really interested to hear what you think about the QPR game. Are Leeds going to bounce back? What would you do formation-wise? Yoel Perot is another one that we spoke about yesterday. How do we get the best out of him in-game? Would you start Dan James again? Would you be starting Liam Cooper again? Fascinated to hear your thoughts, guys, and I'll see you in a bit.